Hey everyone, good morning. This is Tim from the Word of Life Church. Hope everyone's doing well. When you watch this video, hope you've are having a good day or will have had a good day. It's beautiful here. You can see all the glare behind me. It's from sunshine and blue skies, and but just love those days. Love days like that. I wanted to come on and hit some of the news articles that kind of stood out to me. A lot of economic and political news out there, of course with the political and all the mudslinging. Oh my goodness, it's just horrible. I hate election years. It's just that's all it is. It's just people. Look, there's no, and I like to know. I forget who said this. It escapes my mind right now. Who said it? A lot's escaping my mind right now. The air's probably come out. But it says there's no political solution to a spiritual problem, and I like that. Political mudslinging and stuff, and just try to stay out of it. Just can't stand these years. You used to debate. Used to be the right wing. Far right conservative, and I guess as far as that goes, I still would be if you ask me. That's my ideology, but 9 times out of 10, I don't debate politics anymore. I tell people when they ask me what am I, Democrat, Republican, whatever, I tell them I'm a Christian. You guys listen to me know that I say that, and most of the time that turns that off. Okay. They don't know what to say, and that kind of ends that conversation. So, we just don't. Excuse me, I'm trying to get this web page up here. But we don't debate all the politics anymore, and we know that the economic problems are still going on. It's kind of surprising too, because there's people that that was just panicking. There's still people panicking over the economy, and who knows, it might all of a sudden just make a small miraculous comeback. But the people that are still keeping, what you call the nest egg, putting money in your mattress, basically, like I said, these days it's a fire safe, still be doing that, because like I said, there will not be a major warning if the banks have a bail-in, as I call it, and they shut their doors, and then your money is gone. Okay, so if you're still doing something to protect your money, whatever that might be, then still do it. You can always put it back in. I wouldn't recommend it at all. I'm trusting the banks and the world economy, but just keep doing it. Keep on doing it to be on the safe side. Don't know how long after that the money will be useful and still worth something, because of the way the world is going. The beast system is rising. How long is it going to be before we see the mark of the beast come to the forefront of things? And at that point, your money will be worth nothing. Well, I mean, it's kind of worth nothing right now as it is. It's paper, and it's actually not money. It's value. It's a Federal Reserve note. So you guys know that. All right, so let's dive in. There's 2 or 3 from yesterday news. Vanuatu had a 6.9 mag earthquake, third major quake strike this week. It's saying, earthquakes in diverse places. It's happening. And you guys have heard me talk about CERN, the huge 17-mile long circular underground, 500, I think, feet, no, not 500, 200 feet, 500, something like that, particle collider on the Swiss and French border. They're operating again, and I give these websites so that you can go check. If you want to go check these out, read it yourself. This one comes from one I mentioned quite a bit, and it's allnewspipeline.com. And the title of the whoa, something jumped around the screen here. The title of the news article has CERN, which is the name of the that institute, and basically the name of the institute that's part of. They have, but I mean, they even, from what I understand, they even have their own substation. It's like a mini little city. You know what I'm saying? But anyway, the question of this is, or the title of this question is asking, has CERN opened up massive portals from Antarctica across the planet, or distance itself from Satan? Interesting. We've talked about that before. You guys have heard me talk about that, about the portals that can be opened through various means. The fallen ones will give ways, however they can to man, to be able to do that, which, you know, nowadays is becoming almost, what they say, a scientific way, such as this right here, opening portals to, you know, and the Bible mentions, you know, the air, the eros, and the third heaven. Well, I mean, does that stand to reason? You know, there's a first, a second, and a third heaven. If there's a third heaven, there's a first and a second one. I believe the second heaven is where we see and understand that the demonic spirits and the fallen angels inhabit, and maybe some other things going on as well. That's very controversial, theoretical, and like I said, I refer to myself a lot of times as a theoretical theologian because of some of the stuff. But anyway, you're saying, what's this have to do with being a Christian, going to church? Well, you know, take your head out of the sand and look, because, you know, if this is true, if CERN and the guy that runs the place actually admitted that they were trying to open portals to other dimensions and look for other dimensions, and of course, all the spiritual stuff, it's in another dimension. They cross over. We can't cross over because we're stuck in this flesh right now. So now this actually, the Wall Street Journal story is called "CERN is Seeking Secrets of the Universe," or maybe opening the portals of hell. Now, I think that was actually put in there as kind of a little jest. You know, the first part being serious secrets of the universe. You know, and unknown particles and stuff like that. And I think the joke part, or kind of, you know, the snickering part, was the second part, or opening the gates of hell. Yeah, right, kind of deal. Said in it, we're told that the operators of the Large Hadron Collider are, that's what it's called, the Hadron Collider, getting up to battle the conspiracy theorists. The story over at International Business Times shared more warnings of conspiracy theorists that the LHC, which is Large Hadron Collider, could open another dimension and unleash forces of darkness, while over at Newser we're told that CERN has officially distanced itself from Satan. Not going to go through and read the rest. The rest of this. Once you go through and read it yourself, you'll get more out of it. And if you're interested, like I said, it comes from allnewspipeline.com, and it's interesting article. I've been following. A lot of people have been following what CERN has been doing, but it's at first that's everybody said, well, this is what they're trying to open portals, and what comes through these portals, demonic spirits, and fallen angels and such. But at the first, people were like, hey, they're trying to. This is what they're trying to do. They're trying to look into other dimensions, or find them and open portals. And of course, everybody said, oh, that's just conspiracy theorists. And you guys are just all they're just doing is looking for particles. That's Then the guy, the head of the place, comes out and actually says, hey, yes, we're looking for particles, but we're also looking for other dimensions as well. And something, we might open these and go through these portals, or something may come through these portals to us. Just comes right out, and that's what they do, what admits it. So right from the horse's mouth. So but anyway, go read that. It's an interesting read. This next story that was kind of me. A lot of people right now are talking. I'm sure people heard on the news, in the science area, and some on the national news. There's some things that are reported on, and some things that are not reported on. We look behind what's being reported and see what actually is going on. And probably everyone at this point has heard maybe about the latest planet that has supposedly been discovered. They're calling it Planet 9. This title of this news article says, top space scientist claims Planet 9 could cause ELE, which is an extinction level event, meaning that basically what they claim happened to the dinosaurs, comets and everything, and just bombarding the earth, and meteors and stuff like that, because of the gravitational pull. Now, we're not sure. This also comes from, while you're there, read this as well. This also comes from All News Pipeline, and look for the title of this. Talks about the Planet 9. And bring this up here. This article is by Susan Duclos. It says the ninth planet. It says it's 1 to 10 times the mass of Earth. Now, we know that there's a lot of people talking about Planet X or Planet 7X, or goes by the name of Nibiru or Nemesis. It's another one. People's wondering if this is what they're talking. This is what they're actually talking about, or that this is just one. Maybe 2 or 3, maybe large planetoids that's coming into our sector of the galaxy. But something is pulling, and they suspect it's this. Something is changing the magnetic pull in our area of the universe, even, and possibly having effects we're seeing here on our planet. Some of the changes, with some of the animal populations, our magnetic shield. Every time, and another good source for talking about this and the change in the magnetic fluctuations of our planet. Look for BP Earthwatch on YouTube and subscribe to him. He does research on this stuff, and he's very good at this, and he has a lot of good information. Okay. Another person talks about Planet X or Nibiru is Gil Broussard, and you can look him up. I believe he has a webpage. Gil, G-I-L, Broussard. I believe it's a Broussard, I believe, and he's done a lot of research on Nibiru, and believes that, of course, it kind of gives them a little bit of space, but he believes there's an 8-year window of when the next time that Nibiru will come close to us. Excuse me. coffee this morning. Don't spill it, or I'm running out of my mouth. So they're saying that Planet 9 is a huge icy planet, estimated to be 10 times more massive than Earth. So, said evidence of the planet tracing a bizarre, highly elongated orbit in the outer solar system in a video published video published by Caltech from January. There again, you might think, well, what does this have to do with church and Christianity? Let's see. So I'm saying, get out of your boxes, okay? Pull your head out of the sand, or take your head out of the little church box that you're in. I'm not knocking going to church and everything and the old ways, and you're just set in your ways, and I'm not knocking anybody that's that way. Especially, I understand people have a hard time talking about stuff like this but they don't feel it's relevant. Well, there's so much more evidence of these things causing some of the things that happen in the Bible. In the Old Testament, for instance, like during the time of Noah's flood, there was evidence that this planet Nibiru was close to us. I believe. But anyway, it done some research on it. I listened to interviews with the people that talk about it, and I don't know. Who knows? Could be. But this right here, they've actually talking about Planet 9. We'll leave Nibiru and everything. We'll leave that, push that aside for now. But we'll talk about this, and the scientists have actually admitted that this actually exists. And for the longest while, like I said, people were being laughed at and saying, they know such a thing. There's nothing out there like that. And all of a sudden they find this, and I still wonder what the Catholic astronomers on Mount Graham in Arizona are still looking for, saying that they are, they have that large infrared binocular telescope that they can see in the infrared, and they're apparently watching something or some things coming toward Earth. They even admitted one of their priests even admitted, and he's dead. I think he may have been one of those that died under mysterious circumstances, because he told on a lot of things that was going on inside the Catholic Church. Now, I'm not saying this knocking personally, you Catholics, but your whole religious system, the stuff that's going on. The abuse of children. They have satanic ritual abuse. Really, it's the same as the Old Testament, when the ancients of Israel, the priests, were walking around during the day in their robes, looking all regal and praising the Lord and doing their priestly thing. Then at night, when they believed no one could see them, they were doing their worship of false gods. Basically, fallen angels and demonic spirits masquerading as little g gods. The Lord opened a door, or a hole in the wall, basically, is what it talks about, or how it describes it, for Ezekiel to look through. You'll find this in the book of Ezekiel, to look through and see what they were doing. And basically they were doing what amounted to Luciferian or satanic worship, worshiping other deities, like I said, false gods. So at any rate, kind of got off the track there just a little bit. But anyway, like I said, that talking about the binocular telescope, that's what I was saying, that they even freely admitted some of the stuff that they've seen to the two researchers, Thomas Horn and Chris Putnam. They did an excellent book called Exo Vaticana. I've got a copy of it. Very good read. They actually requested it and were able to go up to the telescope, the facility, and look around. And that's not something you can do. You can't just drive up there, and you have to have like really special permission to go up there. And it's on federal land. And if you cross, I think they were told if there was a line on their right and left side, if they crossed it, I can't remember if they said that they could be arrested at the minimum or shot or something. And what's kind of funny is, like I said, I know a lot of you die hard, die in the wood, just your basic, I just want a little bit of church. I don't want none of this other stuff, and just enough to, but I feel like this stuff that should be brought out. Myself and other people that do this, watch and talk about stuff. There needs to be more talking about this. But at any rate, they were allowed to go up and tour the facility and get to talk. And these priests, astronomers, were just talking openly about some of the stuff they've seen. I'd recommend it. It's a very good read. Very good read. But anyway, what's funny is Mount Graham, and there was a long, hard fight over in the courts about them putting anything up there. But they finally did. The Catholic Church and their people over here, to politicians over here. There are several. I'm pretty sure several people or politicians that claim to be Catholic, but they were going to put it up there anyway. But at any rate, the mountain that they put it on, Mount Graham, is one of the, or if not the most sacred mountains to the Native Americans in that area. And what's interesting is why it's so holy to them. It's one of their most the holiest mountain is because they said this is where the bearded God came down to visit them, and also a serpent god come down as well. And also they talked about giants descending on there as well. Now, what does that all sound like? We found out some of the stuff that during that time that the Indians were talking about was during the same time frame that Moses was writing his parts of the Old Testament, talking about exactly the same thing. So while the same thing was going on over across the world, was happening here in that area. I find that extremely fascinating, and that, like I said, that's just to me, that's just awesome. I love that. I love that stuff. I love finding out stuff like that. People that do research. I wish I were able to do more in-depth research than I'm able to do. But thank the Lord for people that have the means to be able to do that. Like I said, it was kind of odd that they were allowed to even go up and actually tour that, because like I said, you can't just walk up there. It's federal land. If you cross a certain point, you can be shot. So at any rate, that all goes together with what we're talking about, this Planet 9. Don't know. When it's talking about, like I said, the extinction level event, we're talking about what this planetoid would have in its orbit. Like we see Saturn, the rings around it, and rocks and stuff like that. That can actually cause some meteor comet strikes. What was it, 2 or 3 years ago over Russia? When those comets came across, and man, if you see the videos of those that's still up on YouTube, man, it looks It's wicked. I mean, it's it's awesome. You have to watch. You got to watch them Russian comets or something like that, and it'll show you people with their camera phone, and I mean it shows it, and it. I forget the amount of power that was behind it, but it thankfully it exploded in an uninhabited. Oh Lord, you got pray for my tongue so I can actually say a word correctly once. It didn't blow up where people were, but it shattered windows and injured people, and I mean just boom. I mean you could hear it, but the way it looked coming, streaking through the atmosphere, I was thinking, that looks a lot like the burning mountain that the Book of Revelation talks about, or the one that comes down, talking about, that strikes the oceans, and the other one that comes down, wormwood, that poisons the waters and stuff. That's the first thing that comes to mind when I see something like that. That goes along with what we're talking about. It's talking about the extinction level event. They're thinking that we're going to be collided, or we're going to be pounded to dust by these comets and meteors and stuff like that. God's in control, and if that's what this is, there's other things prophetically that have to come to pass before this other stuff will. Understand? What I understand is people that put stuff in front. They talk about, this is in the news right now. This was talking about, well, this could be this right here. They're looking at a prophecy down the road, but they're forgetting the prophecies beforehand that have to come to pass before the other things that they're trying to talk about. So you can't do that. Now, I believe there are different ways we can look at prophecy, and I won't get into that right now. That actually is a study all itself, prophecy and such like that. So maybe something we get into at some point. So anyway, they finally admitted that there is a ninth planet. They actually admitted there was a planet X, or Nibiru, and I believe it was in 1982 or 1983. And the lead scientist or astronomer of that study was, and it's come to be a familiar theme when it comes to some of this stuff. He died under mysterious circumstances as well. So at any rate, there's people are still saying that the economy, now I'm going to say this just because as a warning, this article says the economy is in almost complete collapse. Now, of course, the government's not saying that. They're saying, oh, everything's fine, everything's wonderful, that's nothing to be concerned about, just go on about your business. But it says people simply are not out buying goods and services. So yes, they're buying food. Now, let me say this. Now, it's good. It's good to even when you're not thinking about an apocalyptic type event or a martial law type situation, all that stuff. Or the economy collapse. It's good that you have a storage of food, canned goods, and even cured meat, or and definitely water. Just because of the you guys heard in the last a few years ago, West Virginia had their water supply. So I don't know if there was a certain area, I don't remember, had their water supply poisoned. It was tainted, I think, for 2 or 3 weeks, I believe. And they definitely couldn't drink it, bathe, wash their clothes, and I forget where exactly, but that happened recently again. The waters, where was it? Was it Michigan? Was it Michigan? They had a problem with that as well. So it might not hurt to have a good bottled water supply to last you for a while. I mean, maybe even a month or something like that. At some point, I mean, at the very end, when all this stuff, you don't take the mark to get anything, then it's not going to matter anyway. You're only going to be able to survive for a certain amount of time. But see, that's how you're going to do it. That's how the easiest way. They're just going to wait you out, starve you out, basically. But the Lord will take care of His own. He'll if He wants. I'll use me as an example. If He wants me still around for that stuff, then He'll find a way will be made for food and stuff for us to eat and survive, stay until He's finished. And when He's finished with us, He can take us home. We look forward to going home. Our home's not here. We're pilgrims just passing through, waiting to go to the next reality. Which, if you're saved, you should be excited about that too. Let's see. Let's move on. Like I said, everybody knows what's going on. The economy, still having the issues, still having problems. Another theoretical. I'll go ahead and mention this. It's there again. It's falls into the theoretical theologian area. I kind of think it's kind of funny. It's a good little title there. It shows pictures of it. It's something. This comes from the Seven Tales Weebly, which is WEEBLY.com. Huh, never heard that. But the website is Seven Tales. That's where this comes from. It has a picture of a certain area of Antarctica. Now, I won't go into the details of why that this may be, because this is the research that I'm still needing to do. Now, someone else has done it, so I need to research what they have searched out or research themselves. But the title basically is Antarctica Ancient Ruins, Pyramid and Giant Megalithic Structure in the Shape of a swastika, which was the German symbol, the Nazi symbol. It said visible from space. Now, I looked at the pictures, and at one part where it shows it does have the look part of it as swastika. Now, like I said, I won't go into a lot of it, but there's been rumors for years since World War II about a Nazi base in Antarctica. Now, that's all I'm going to say about that, because there again, that goes into the theoretical stuff, and I know a lot of people don't want to get into that, but I want to put it in there because I thought it was interesting, and it kind of falls into my area of study. Move up here. Still talking about the gateway, the arches from the Temple of Bel being reconstructed in Times Square and Trafalgar Square in London and around the world. And it's kind of funny, they're doing this during a time where there's getting ready to be on the satanic ritual calendar, one of their times their holidays or ritual times, I guess you would call it. It's interesting that they're putting these up around the same time during that. It escapes me right now what they call it. I could do a quick look up on it, but I'm not going to because I'm trying to hurry here. But anyway, it's kind of funny that they're putting these up, like the first ones during the time that the satanic ritual time period is. But we know what they're trying to do. They're going to put these up, and these things can be used as portals for the demonic entities to come through. And I think we're going to see it exponentially. Demonic possessions rise, and just all kinds of unexplained and stuff. The spiritual is going to start invading the natural in a huge way. It's going to impact this world in ways that we haven't seen yet, that hasn't been seen since before the flood and somewhat after the flood of Noah. Excuse me, this is interesting here. Albert Einstein attacked the U.S. This is the title of the article. Said Albert Einstein attacked the U.S. for failing to stop Nazi Germany, and claimed White House was controlled by near-fascist financiers. Private letter reveals. And this comes from the dailymail.co.com. One second here. Okay, let me phrase that. dailymail.co.uk. If you look there, you can read that if that's something that might be interesting to you. There's nothing that's hidden that's not going to be revealed and shouted from the rooftops. There's some more stuff I can go on, but a lot of it is talking about politics and the economy. Like I said, I've covered the economy, things that you need to do for that, and I do there again still believe do need to prepare for the times ahead. So we can only be prepared to a certain point. I understand that, and people don't have a lot of money to get prepared. But like I said, we have the Lord, and He is in control. And if it's your time to go anyway, you're going to go no matter what you have, no matter what you stock up, what you do. If it's your time, if the Lord's calling you home, and I pray that you are saved and that you will be able to call heaven your home. And when it comes time for you, it's your time. Nothing's going to save you. When God says it's over, it's over. He calls you. And but aren't being a Christian, aren't you excited what we're going to be able to do and see? We're going to be given these, the glorified bodies, likened unto the Son of Man. And as Rusty Isdar says, indestructible, immortality. And it's one that we're going to happen. We're going to experience it one of these days. I'm starting to see a lot of my family pass on. I've had two uncles within months of each other that have passed, but each had a testimony that they were saved. So, there'll be that family reunion eventually one of these days. All of us will go up. Our family reunion, which was our blood kin down here, plus our brothers and sisters in Christ. But a lot of people sit in the church pews that when we're called out of here, that's still going to be sitting there. Now people say, oh, here you go, he's talking about the rapture and everything. No, I'm talking about when it says in the Bible, the dead in Christ shall rise first, and then those of us that remain will follow with him to be in the air. He's calling us and catching us away. I don't use the word rapture a lot because I know that actual word's not in the Bible, but it talks about him taking the church away. You can't get a lot of people, for some reason, I don't know if they just don't read that part or they skip that part and say, that people believe in that flyaway doctrine. No, I know what you're talking about. I know what you're talking about when you're saying that. Talking about the rapture as in pre-tribulation rapture and before, any major events hit us, we're going to be taken out of here. And, people are preaching that and people are fooled by that and everything. And, granted, that does get you a lot of, good press and keeps you in your pastor's position, I guess, for you to preach that, saying, hey, people, once American Christians start stubbing their toes, or the devil puts one finger on them, the Lord's going to rapture us out of here and you just don't have to worry about anything. I don't think the Bible backs that up. A lot of people, I've said it before, a lot of people overseas that are being tortured and killed and crucified right now, the Christians, how many of them do you think were preached and taught that they would be raptured out before any heavy tribulation or persecutions come upon them? I believe that we here, that is, and this is another total big study, if we are not Mystery Babylon, the Bible talks about, whatever, at any rate, we are going to see tribulation, and people get the tribulation and wrath mixed up. I know we are, as Christians, are not going to see or experience the wrath of God. I understand that. But we are going to see the wrath and the tribulations and experience all that of the Antichrist against the Christians and against the true church. It doesn't matter about the churches that don't really serve the Lord. They don't have any real fights or anything. Spiritual battles, talking about fights. That's what I mean. Because the devil already has them. They're already part of the world, have chosen the world and the ways of the world. And, it's funny, that's what people are going to do when they accept the mark of the beast. So, I know I'm going a little bit longer than this, but that's the last news article I wanted to hit. There's other stuff talking about one more thing, and this has been on everyone's radar that's watching this, talking about Fukushima. It says nuclear engineer, alarm bells are going off over Fukushima plume coming to the U.S. West Coast. And we're seeing, the reactor in Japan that had a big meltdown and has poisoned the Pacific and killed basically a lot of animal life. There's stuff washing ashore with growths on them from the radiation and killing them off. It said people will be dying from radiation that's flowing across the Pacific. So massive amounts of nuclear waste are flowing into the ocean every day from that plant, and they are not doing anything about it. They're just letting it come over here and poison the ocean, and before long it's going to hit the West Coast, and Lord help. People, we are living in the last days. We are living in the last days. I know people don't like to talk about that, but excuse me. Ooh, we'll have to refresh the coffee. It's getting cold there. I know people don't like to talk about the last days and a lot of the stuff that's coming, but so you got to be prepared. And I'm not talking prepared as we were talking about just as food and, the water and stuff like that. I'm talking about prepared spiritually. If you're not prepared, if you don't know, don't see what's going on really, and see what's behind the scenes, and listen to the cries of the watchman that's blowing the horn and giving the warning of what's happening. If you don't pay attention, then you could fall aside and choose their own direction. If you are not truly saved, or you're just a part-time Christian or church member, you accept the ways of the world, the ways of the Antichrist and the beast system. If you accept that, and you guys know what I always say about the mark of the beast, I believe there are several things that will go into the mix that will make up what the mark is. It's not just going to be one thing. At the very least, you're not going to accidentally take it. You're going to make the conscious choice that you're going to follow the beast system and follow the Antichrist and choose him over the one true God and over Jesus, the true Messiah. You're going to make an actual choice, a conscious choice, to go and follow him instead of following the Lord, the true Lord, our Lord. So, at any rate, don't mean to sound so somber this morning, but this stuff is just going on. Sometimes, it just it's a lot to cover. There's no way I could cover all of this stuff, really go into any detail. And I try to give websites to go to so you can do your own research and read and look into it and stuff like that. Get your Bible now and read it, and read through it. Read some of the stuff talks about the end times. Matthew and Luke, and when the Lord's given some warnings, and look at the book of Revelation, and there are other chapters, other places, book of Daniel, and compare it and look at compare it to some of the stuff that's going on around the world, and the Lord will start opening up more and more to you, and you'll see, it's like, man, this is what it says right here. This is what's going on. I understand it now. A very simple one that everyone should know is, I already talked about one, and here's one that's talking about recent earthquakes near Oklahoma. 7 earthquakes today, 42 earthquakes in the past 7 days, 229 earthquakes in the past month, and in total of 3,405 earthquakes in the past year. So right there, Earth says earthquakes in diverse places, and this is what it's saying right here, people. So that's what I'm talking about, being able to do a study like that, line up things, what you see is going on in the world, see if it lines up with what's going on, or what God's Word said as to what's going on in the world. That's how you start the study. And like I said, the Lord will open a lot of new doors and new windows in your mind, and you kind of get in the loop, so to speak. And but a lot of people don't do it. I know I've give who or any names, but someone close to me didn't want to at first, didn't want to open their eyes and look at some of the stuff, because a lot of it was too scary for him to look at and actually see what's going on, because it scares a lot of people. A lot of stuff when you're talking about the end times, the stuff that's going to happen, it scares you. But like I said, if you're saved and you're in God's hand, you're in His protective hand, don't jump out. Like I said, what I preach, don't jump out of His hand. But then nothing can snatch you out of it. Just don't jump out of His hand. And if you're saved, the Lord's going to take care of you. But I know, and it scares people. Hey, I don't want to. Hey, if we suffer, we are going to reign with Him. Okay. So we've got to be willing to carry our cross like our Lord did, and He's our King. We're to follow His example and do what He did, and all the rest of the good Christian brothers and sisters ever since the Christianity was founded. When the Lord came in, and His death, His death on the cross being our made sin for our justification, for His blood making us clean, making us whole, making us white as snow. I didn't mean to make that rhyme, but hey, whatever. So at any rate, I'm gonna go ahead and end this. Didn't mean to drone on, but I felt I need to say that. I know, like I said, a lot of times people get probably upset and just don't want to talk about the end times because it can be scary to some people. And if you're not grounded in the Lord, you definitely it would frighten people if you weren't grounded in the saved and grounded in the Lord and really are serving God. So at any rate, we'll be back on to do a preaching or teaching / video. It's whatever the Lord wants. Sometimes it's low key like this and teaching. That way you can take stuff in. Sometimes you get excited and get into it. Do more of the actual really exciting, get excited preaching when I'm preaching behind the pulpit. But at any rate, as long as it's God's word, it's good, right? Right. I thought you'd agree. All right. Well, you guys have a good day. We'll see you in the next video, and God bless each and every one of you. And I speak blessings in Christ upon each and every one of you. And we will see you in the next video.